Hello there. I had a couple of students ask, could I do a video showing just some basic stuff in Excel? And I said, certainly. So I don't know if this is basic, but I'll try to keep it kind of basic. I thought, well, the first thing that I need is some data. So I just Googled Excel data and I found this and I thought, well, this looks pretty cool. So what I need is I need to actually open Excel. That would be nice, right? So when I go in, open up Excel, and I just want a blank workbook. And if you find data out on the web like this, then I could just click and drag and highlight all this data. I think the cat's gonna jump up here. There's a cat. So Keith makes an entrance. And so can you move your butt, please? And so now I'm gonna do Control C to copy it. And then I'm going to go back to Excel and I'm going to paste it. Okay, so nicely, looks pretty good. And I'm like, hey, what's going on right here? What happens when you see these dollar or pound signs is it's saying that the data in here, because if I click on it, I can see it's there, is too wide for the width of the cell. So I need to click and drag to make the cell wider. Notice I got that one, but not that. What I do is I double click because that will make it as wide as the longest data, whatever the data is in there. And you could do that for every one of these. Oh, it's kind of weird. To make sure that it's wide enough, okay? There's kind of some weird stuff going on here where that one was a little long. This one I can see because it wrapped. And so, this is just my preference. I'm just clicking and dragging, trying to make things, kind of the same width. I see something's going on here. So all I want to do is be sure and I see all of my data. All right, so I think all my data is showing, so I'm good to go. All right, so here, a student had asked me, how do you put the text boxes? Because let's say that I want to come back, or I save this and I open it years later. Well, for us old people, we're so forgetful. I open it tomorrow and I'm going, what is this for? Well, maybe I want to say I just use this file for demonstration purposes. And so I can go up here to Insert, Shapes, and then there's a text box. And I can click and drag and say this file was used for demo purpose. And I could even go back to this website because it tells me what everything means in it. So why not just grab that? And then this way I know number of items sold, number of units sold, or the type of items sold, units sold. And this gives me some information. And of course, you can format it, you can put a border around it, you can fill it with a color, you can do whatever you want to do. All right. So now over here, the key to Excel of getting good is learning how to reference data. What I mean by that is when you type formulas in, you never, ever, ever hard code a number in. Okay. So the only thing you hard code is it's not a formula like units and unit costs. This column right here is going to end up being a formula. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the first value. I'm going to hold the shift key down. Those are my little pinky finger. Holding the shift key down and I click the last one and it selects everything and I'm going to hit delete because I want to show you how to make that a formula. So when you reference an actual value for a formula, you reference it based on the column and the row where they intersect. So if I referenced B4, bingo! If I referenced B4, then that's that cell, okay? That is where you really understand Excel. If you're hard coding numbers into formulas, you're not doing it right. And the reason why is for reusability. I could set this spreadsheet up for this company that apparently sells office supplies and give it to another company that sells, I don't know, toilet paper, right? Because it'll do the same thing. It'll take the units times the cost and give me a total. So let's do that. When you're lazy like me and you want Excel to do all the work for you, you start with the lazy key. You know what the lazy key is? Equal sign. The equal sign says after this, Excel, do all the work for me. What I want for a total, how do you find the total? You take the number of units times the unit cost. So I could type in E2 times F2, but I'm kind of lazy, so I click, you can see E2 times, so my asterisk, shift 8, and then unit cost. So this says reference those cells. All right, I hit enter and I get 95 times 199. Here's the beauty of Excel. Do you want to sit and type equals that times that equals that? And I don't want to. So what you do is you copy this formula straight down. And what Excel does is it's smart, and it knows if I go to the next cell, it knows you mean to multiply those two values. When I go to the next one, and so on. So to copy, however you do it, you can do Control C and then highlight these cells and Control V. There's also a cool little thing here if you can grab it. Notice that the crosshairs are like a thick white cross and then they become a skinny black cross. That means you're on it. Notice as I've clicked the mouse and I'm dragging straight down until I get to the last cell. I let go. Ooh, isn't that pretty? And you could check a couple of these. Notice I'm going to double click so you can see the formula. If I double click, that says, yeah, that's that times that. I hit escape to get out of the formula. Okay. I double click here or here. It's like, yeah, so that's pretty cool. That's one of the real beauties in Excel. So that's called cell referencing, where you're referencing cells. So that way, if I come back and I say, well, Jones, he didn't sell 95. You keyed in the wrong number. It was actually 85. Watch that total right there. Bam! It changes. So that's pretty cool, right? All right, so then another thing you want to definitely learn, get this box out of my way. I think there's more stuff there, yeah. Is another thing you want to learn is what's called absolute referencing. So let's say I want to know what percent of the grand total Jones's pencils were. So how do you get a percent? You take a part divided by the whole. So I would take 169.15 and I would divide it by the total. Well, I need a total. So down here what I could do is I could say, I just bolded it, call this the total cell, and I could do equal, lazy key, sum, because I want you to add this for me, open up parentheses, and then click and drag the total column, and then close the parentheses. So you can see my formula right there. So I'm doing a sum, I hit enter, and then that gives me a total. One thing you might think, well, hey, this is money, so let's, what I just did right there, did you see that? I click on this last one, and then I go up here and I hold that shift key down again, and I click. So let's just make all of these dollars, right? Because that one wasn't even showing the cents. So that's looking good. So here I want to know what percent of sales they were. And you might say, well, that was cool. How did they do that automatically? That's again Excel being smart, that it assumes that you want all these to be the same. All right. So how do we do this? We take equals the part divided by the whole. Okay, so that's how you get a percentage, and we can format it to a percent, and I hit equal. And then I go, but Cindy said, I can just click and drag this straight down, and what the heck is going on? The problem is Excel knows you mean this value, but remember, if you watched over here what was happening, everything was moving down a row. Notice if I look here what's happening, it's taking that part, moved it down. The next one, it takes that part and it keeps moving it down. So the problem is I don't want it to move it down. I want it to always divide by that total. Always, 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 always. Let's just highlight it. And so if I want it to divide by that total, then what I need to do is tell Excel in my first formula to absolute reference that total. How you absolute reference is with a dollar sign, kind of weird. I don't know why they picked a dollar sign. Is a dollar for the column, a dollar for the row. So this is what G4 45. If I click on it, it'll show me where it's at. So what I do is I go back here and I do equals. I do my part divided by my whole. But I need that to say $G, $45. Now, once again, I'm kind of lazy. There is a lazy key to get it to do that for you. You could just type the dollar signs, but if I press F4, bam, it puts the dollar signs for me. Okay, so that's all that does. I hit enter, and now watch when I copy this straight down. This is actually correct. So let's double click on one of these. It's that part divided by the whole. It's that part divided by the whole. So what's happening, if you look at every one of these, the G45 is not changing, only the part reference is changing. All right, and so from here, I could highlight all this, and what the heck, let's click the percent. And then I could probably click on here to increase my decimal, okay, so I can see more decimal places and all that good stuff. Might even be a good idea, let's get rid of where that says total and make sure that these add up to 100%. Another cool thing about Excel, you can copy and paste horizontally. So if I copy this formula that says sum everything above it, so let's do a different copy. I'm going to do a Control C, and then I click on this cell. I can do a Control V. Excel, and it formatted it with a dollar sign since that one was. Excel knows that you mean to add everything above, because notice it says sum H2 through H44, and then of course I can change it to a percent sign. All right, one more thing that I want to mention is sorting. Let's say that you would like to sort this data. It looks like it's sorted by what date. You would like to sort it by sales rep, and then another level by what the item that they sold. So anytime you want to do something with data, the first thing you got to do is select it. Okay, I only want to select what I want to sort, so I don't select that. And then I go to data, I go to sort. So when I click sort, so let me mention, this, if I click this button, it automatically sorts the first column. Well, it's already sorted by the first column in lowest to highest. If I click this one, it sorts the first column from newest to oldest. You know, I don't know why they changed the naming there. Oh, I guess it does say oldest to newest. That's kind of weird. Lowest to highest, or highest to lowest. But I want to sort something over here. So I click this sort. I tell it, let's sort this by my sales rep. And I sort the values A to Z. And then let's add a level and then sort it by the item that they sold. So when I click OK, you will see Andrews, you will see Gill, Howard, and so on. And noticing Gill, it actually even sorted then, because Andrews only sold pencils apparently, it only sorted it, it then sorted it by the item number. So just a couple little tricks of things to do, you know, as far as trying to make Excel work for you. And again, it's all about the referencing of cells. So I hope that helps, and stay tuned. I'll have some more videos.